make up 28.2% of Congress, higher than before but only half of what it should be. Women waited so long to be properly represented in politics, yet had to fight for years to gain voting rights. While the ratification of the 19th Amendment expanded voting rights for white women, systemic barriers continued to disenfranchise minority women. The women's movement is one of the most important periods in U.S. history. It started at the Seneca Falls Convention in July 1848 in Seneca Falls, New York. With 200 women and 40 men in attendance, the Declaration of Sentiments was created, advocating for higher education, receiving wages, access to more professions, and married women's rights to their husband's property, marking the first step toward the 19th Amendment. There were many white-led organizations created during this time: National Women's Party, American Women's Suffrage Association, National Women's Suffrage Association, and more. The AWSA and NWSA merged in 1890, known as the NAWSA. There were also black-led organizations such as National Association of Colored Women, Alpha Suffrage Club of Chicago, Churchill Rhodesia Island Union Colored Women's Club, and National Council of Negro Women. Influential individuals included Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and Frederick Douglass. They were all important in passing the 19th Amendment. On May 21, 1919, the 19th Amendment passed the House of Representatives 304 to 90. On June 4th, it passed the Senate 56 to 25. And on August 18, 1920, Tennessee was the 36th state to ratify. On August 26, the Secretary of State declared the amendment part of the Constitution. While women now had the right to vote, minority women still struggled for their rights. In 1920, Native Americans weren't allowed U.S. citizenship, preventing them from voting. In 1924, the Snyder Act passed, granting them citizenship. However, they still struggled to vote because of literacy tests, poll taxes, and claims of residence. Literate Puerto Rican women were allowed to vote in 1929, though literacy tests prevented voting, and in 1935, non-literate Puerto Rican women were allowed to vote. In 1952, the Immigration and Nationality Act passed, granting Asian American immigrants citizenship and voting rights. In 1975, an extension of the Voting Rights Act was signed, allowing women who didn't speak English the right to vote. Although minorities were affected by systemic barriers, black women were affected the most. Black women were challenged with literacy tests, poll taxes, voter ID, intimidation, and threats. In Selma, Alabama, black women voters were harassed and scared away. Although black women helped NAWSA, they weren't allowed to go to their conventions, join white organizations, and were required to march separately. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 protected black women's right to vote. It eliminated literacy tests and poll taxes. On March 7th, Martin Luther King led a Southern Christian leadership conference from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama, where activists were attacked by state officers. On August 6, 1965, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act 45 years after the 19th Amendment. A triumph for freedom as huge as any victory that has ever been won on any battlefield, he said upon signing. Often overlooked, minority women helped make history. The 19th Amendment took almost a century to get ratified, and systemic barriers continued to disenfranchise minority women, but it started the signing and creation of bills that helped give all women the right to vote. Women continue to face systemic barriers such as bias, sexual harassment, and restrictive cultural norms, but interesting to see how they change over time.